So we talk about Dinobot. We had our speculations of what would be the next Beast Wars masterpiece toy if they did one,
What would
and
be the
I my
most logical
the
one?
most logical and yeah, that's just it. And I was like, well, the most logical route would have been Beast Wars Megatron. Lo and behold, as of today, the 2008 Generations guidebooks, which are a popular guidebook series that Japan puts out. What's great about them is every single one of those guidebooks, usually at the back of it, have really good interviews with Takara designers and stuff. And in the guidebook, there was a mention of with one of the masterpiece designers talking about Dinobot and what the next masterpiece toy will be. And the actual quote was regarding Beast Wars masterpiece figures, I felt our goal was to get Dinobot, and now our next goal is Beast Wars Megatron.
Mm.
Um, my only concern with this is how expensive Beast Wars Megatron will be, because they've done so far a really good job at keeping scale. Now, Dinobot is bigger than Primal, and so far, I mean, we've had this discussion about the price and how I'm still kind of on the fence on what this price is because they said
Clocks
this.
in at 181 apparently. That's
Yeah,
that's the floating number,
yeah. So
subject to change.
yeah, so right now, like, I mean, that number, I'm still kind of going like, we'll see what happens. But I mean, now Beast Wars Megatron is considerably larger than Dinobot. And
Yep.
the way that I see it, I mean, the way that they're going to do it is, I mean, up to this point, Beast Wars Megatron toys uh, have been pretty perfect, but there's little things here and there that could be done, like having his tail weapon removable so you could actually have the
Uh,
articulated hand under there.
yeah, an actual fist down there.
So I mean, there's not much that can be done to this toy design to improve it already from what it already was, but I think it's more so we're going to get a lot of different facial expressions, accessories, maybe a rubber ducky,
Gotta get it. Gotta get that rubber ducky.
a rubber ducky, maybe a toothbrush to clean his dino face's
I
tooth.
mean, they do technically uh, own that mold that they did for the box set, the extra
Yes,
bit. They do technically own that mold.
part of me feels what I think is going to be a thing, and it's the same thing with Dinobot. I think he's going to have a light up mouth gimmick
Mm.
to do like a blasting laser thing. Um,
From the dinosaur mouth,
yeah, for
the
the
T Rex
dinosaur
head.
mouth. Yeah, for sure he's going to have multiple faces because if there's one character that was multiple faces and characterized, I mean, I want to have like a screaming Megatron face, with his David
Well,
Cave.
well, well, you gotta have a angry scream and a "Oh no, I'm defeated" scream.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, like again, I'm happy about this because Beast Wars Megatron is easily, without a doubt, my favorite Transformer villain anything.
Hmm.
So, and David K just did such an incredible job that I mean, I like this a lot. I mean, obviously, Transmetal Megatron I still feel is his best work,
Hmm.
but I'm pretty sure we'll get to that at some point. I hope. But it's really cool that this is coming. It doesn't say what number he'll be in the masterpiece line. Like it's he's definitely not the next one because we've also read similar interviews already in the past about now Trailbreaker and Trail Cutter are coming. So I think that those are probably ahead of this Beast Wars Megatron. They're going to space it out,
One
obviously.
one thing I could see as a if they really want to or if they could, like as a repaint or a retool. Well, not a retool, but more so a repaint. I could see them doing like more realistic colors for a T Rex. So instead of like the purple scales, they'll do it in like a green or something like that. And then maybe another color scheme could be like make it look like G1 Megatron.
Well,
Maybe color
right
scheme like
away.
gray.
I mean, this character's mold lineage. It had a Beast Machines repaint called T Rex,
Uh huh.
which already is kind of a stretch because that was like a one shot character only really used in the Bakon comics and stuff. And
Right.
again, it was available in retail, um, but it was just more so them doing some. Aside from that, there wasn't much stuff that was done with that mold outside of it being a Megatron over and over.
Right.
So, but so far, that's kind of been a little bit of the problem with a lot of these Beast Wars molds. Is with Primal, there was like two or three different things you could have done. With Cheetor, if you don't want to retool it, there's almost nothing you could do because you want Shadow Panther to be more of a panther. You want the Tigatron to be its own thing.
Hmm.
And then with Dinobot, like I said, you could do the Grimlock one and retool a new face. But outside of that, there's not much that you can do unless, like you said, a Death of Dinobot color scheme that's a little more beat up
Yeah.
or something. But like kind of like when they did the Death of Optimus Prime, or they called it Sleep Mode Prime. It was one
Yeah.
of the. Um,
I hope with Dinobot. Oh no, never mind. We already saw the accessories. Ooh, be a cool accessory for Megatron? He gets a shower cap. Like
well,
a workable shower
well
cap
that
or an inflatable thingy or something like that.
well see that's the thing
Ooh,
because
or maybe Rampage's is it Ram? Yeah,
well
Rampage's
I think that there's certain things that the Rampage thing should be Transmetal one. Like that,
oh
the
yeah, you're
Transmetal
right,
one
you're
should
right.
come with it. Well, that's why because to me, part of me was like, if we do get the Transmetal one, there's certain things that I would expect to come with it. But if we don't, then because Dinobot, there's two golden discs.
Hmm.
There was the Sounds of Earth's Music golden
Yeah,
disc, and then there's the Vok golden disc. There's two
yeah.
of them. Now, the Dinobot one clearly comes with the Sounds of Earth disc. I'm curious if they're going to make the Megatron come with the Vok one,
Mm,
because that version of Megatron did get a hold of that disc at least at one point.
yeah.
Although we associate it more with Transmetal Megatron, who actually had the disc reader built into his arm.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, it's something that, the way I see it, the rubber ducky's a given. Toothbrush, maybe. Maybe a Waspinator head, you know,
Yeah.
or an Inferno head that he could bang his head on or something. Or dare I say, and here's another funny one, swap heads with, because there was one episode where they banged
Oh
into each
yeah,
other.
yeah.
And I don't know, just silly things like that. I mean, either way, whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. I'm excited about it. It's going to be a great figure, and it's funny too because they announced this not too long after we have that Beast Wars Megatron statue that's coming out.
Yep.
That's like $1,000 something. So now, who's going to be buying that statue? You know,
That's what I always wonder. Is like, who's buying statues? Why don't you like you're buying a Transformer statue, but in the name of the thing it says Transformers. It's
and
not
the
even doing half of its name.
And the funny thing is, like, statues, and specifically resin statues, I understood when they were a thing, when action figures just weren't up to snuff back then. Like, I mean, and when my first like encountering of those kind of statues date back to like the late '80s, early '90s with Marvel when they
Right.
used to do those. And I could understand that because when you looked at, the state that action figures were back then for Marvel and stuff like that, and articulation and poses, yeah, the statues just did such a better job looking, in one pose, mind you, only, but
Hmm.
doing it. And, then you look at, like, back in the day, Hard Heroes had the rights to some G1 statues. And, at the time, there was no such thing as Generations or Classics, and there was no such thing as Masterpiece. So Hard Heroes made these great looking statues of these G1 characters that never had good cartoon accurate appearances. And the first ever piece of Unicron paraphernalia, if you don't count obviously the unreleased figure, was a statue from Hard Heroes. So back then I understood that. Okay, that's that was the only way you could get. Hell, one of Rhinox had a statue that was the only time it was show accurate.
Hmm.
But then we have this masterpiece, the Generations toy.
Yeah.
Well, what's the point of that statue anymore? It looks just as good as the statue, except it does a million things better. So this Beast Wars Megatron that's coming out, anyone that has a pre-order on that $1,300 statue, you should probably pull that out, you know, because I'm pretty sure if you get this masterpiece toy, I don't think it's going to cost that. So, and it's
I
probably
think
going
I
to do
think I think I know what one of the accessories will be. It'll be like, remember that toy, the Yak Back?
Ah, yeah.
and you talk into it and you make it replay what you want it to say. Like they'll it'll come with one of those, but they'll have like three canned responses. One of them will be yes. The other one will be like, oh, like he's fighting you, and the other one will be like, no, like he's getting wrecked. But then again,
It's
I mean,
funny actually that you
you
bring
would
that
have to
up.
do. Hmm.
It's funny that you bring that because when the Dinobot was announced, I was talking with someone about it, and they were saying like, wouldn't because we were trying to figure out why it was so expensive,
Hmm.
right? And I said to them, well, the only other thing I could think of outside of it is if there was a voice box, right?
Yeah.
But up to this point, and the funny thing is when it comes to voice boxes, every single Masterpiece toy, when it came to having talking accessories or stuff like that, it was
Hmm.
actually a separate thing. Both Optimus Prime and Rodimus, when they had to have something where there was a talking thing, it was a separate accessory that was a base.
Right.
The Japanese called them the sound stage. That's what they were
Oh,
referred
okay.
to as. I actually did a review of Rodimus's sound stage on YouTube. It's one of my earliest videos I ever did, like back in 2010.
Yeah.
Like it's a really old, low quality video. But it showed like that Japanese Masterpiece toys, if they had to like have a voice box in them, they were a separate accessory because a voice box at the end of the day would hinder because
Yeah,
regardless of
exactly. You make the toy way bulkier than you really
yeah,
need to.
regardless of the lack of electronics that today are needed for everything else, at the end of the day, you still need to have a proper sized speaker.
Speaker, yeah.
Exactly, which then messes everything else up. All the other stuff could probably be fit in the size of your pinky, but it's the speaker that still has to be appropriately sized to then convey the sound. Otherwise,
Yeah.
what's the point? So, I mean, part of me was
Because
like,
then, I
well,
mean, otherwise you'll get it'll sound exactly like if you opened up a Christmas card, or like that.
yeah, it's
It'll just
really
be like
and
some
one.
really tinny sounding.
Yeah, I was gonna, and exactly. So it's just, I was trying. So part of me was like, well, maybe Dinobot has some kind of voice box, but I doubt it because of how little space that they could afford just to get this thing perfect. So
Right.
that wasn't the case. But even the same thing with this Megatron. This Megatron, again, knowing the transformation of the old toy and how they don't really have to reinvent much here. It's the same thing. Like I love that Optimus Primal Masterpiece, and
Hmm.
they didn't really have to reinvent much with
Right.
that one. They did this and that. If anything, because they didn't have to reinvent much, that's how they worked in the battery for the glowing eyes.
Yeah.
Because they were just like, man, we got so much space and
I,
everything that.
I could probably see his like Megatron's eyes are glowing red or something like that.
Oh, dude, for sure, for sure, for sure,
Like
almost
his Ultimo
almost
glowing red.
almost 200%, 200%. It's going to be um, it's going to be a glowing like dino head
Hmm.
for for a laser gimmick and
Right.
glowing eyes for sure. Like I look at Masterpiece Shockwave and how it did the same thing. And Masterpiece Shockwave, by the way, is a great Masterpiece toy, if not one of the best, for
Hmm.
sure. So yeah, either way, that's coming. I'm excited about it. Jaws D's excited about it.
Definitely, for
We're
sure.
we're looking forward to it.